In India. Joining us now to talk about the growth and the road ahead is Patrick Doyle, the global CEO of Dominos. Mr. Doyle, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18, and congratulations on opening your 1,000th store here in India. I understand that India is the only market outside of the US where you actually have 1,000 stores. So is India the fastest growing market at this point in time for Dominos in the emerging market basket or your international business?
In fact, it is the largest market outside of the U.S., and it is the fastest growing market anywhere. We've been growing more stores in India the last few years, even than in the United States. So very important market for us.
What do you think has worked for you here in India, Mr. Doyle? Your international business is one of the key levers why Domino's has been able to script that turnaround story over the last 3 or 4 years. But why do you believe India has done as well as it has? Because you've got operations in Brazil, China, Turkey, and a bunch of other emerging markets. What's worked, do you think, here in India?
Well, I think it really begins with terrific leadership. And so we've had a partnership with Sharm and Hadi Bhatia for 20 years now. Ajay Kaul, who's running the business day to day, has done a terrific job for many years. We've been listening to the Indian consumer. We've been adapting the product offering to the Indian consumer, and it's just been incredibly effective. And I think it's been a commitment both from the team at Jubilant FoodWorks as well as from us that we're taking a very long-term view that India will be a very important market, and so we've always looked at how do we do everything right, how do we respond to the consumer. If we do that with a long-term view, then ultimately it's going to be successful, and the opening of the 1,000th store, I think, is really a reflection of that.
You know, we were talking to Ajay, and he said that Domino's now intends to open another 150 stores in calendar year 2016. You know, the consumption story in India has been a bit sluggish. We actually haven't seen a significant pickup. But do you believe that, given the fact that you're betting on India in the long term, it makes sense to go ahead and open these stores and put in this kind of investment on ground at this point in time?
Yeah, it absolutely does. The return on investment has continued to be terrific. And, you know, even though the consumer market has been, you know, a little bit weaker recently, we're taking the long-term view. The returns have been great. And, you know, we continue to invest. So we're very optimistic about the medium and long term in India for Domino's.
You know, you said that India is your fastest growth market outside of the US, but in terms of revenue contribution, what is the sort of expectation, say, over the next 5 years, because you are betting on India for the long term?
Right. Yeah, I think it absolutely continues to grow. Medium, long term, we're very optimistic. You know, I think the pace of growth that we've seen, even though same-store sales growth has been more modest in the last year or two, we're continuing to get double-digit overall sales growth through the store growth that we've been getting in India. So I remain very optimistic that the growth is going to be there. We're certainly investing. We're committed, and we're excited about where we're going to be, you know, 3 to 5 years from now.
Patrick Doyle, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Congratulations once again on opening your 1,000th store here in India, and thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18.